Local news, coupled with Pacifica's worldwide coverage. Only local radio can bring you local news, but only WHAV does.
Open mic!
Every Monday night, the Open Mic Show brings interesting guests into your homes, presents your take on current events, and dabbles in little-known local history. I'm Tim Coco, your host, inviting you to join the chorus of community voices beginning at 6:30 Monday nights right here on WHAV. You may also watch this 50-year staple of democracy live at WHAV.tv and Haverhill Community Television Channel 22. The Open Mic Show was brought to you by Northern Essex Community College, the Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council, and WHAV members. Remember, only local radio can bring you this talk opportunity, but only WHAV does.
WAVE weather!
I'm WHAV meteorologist Rob St. Pierre with WAVE weather. We're looking at clear skies headed through the night with a low temperature around 60. Tuesday will feature lots of sunshine, maybe a little more humid, warming up to 85. It'll be clear Tuesday nights. There may be some fog after midnight, low 63, and then Wednesday, partly to mostly sunny, very warm and humid, highs in the upper 80s. There could be a late day shower or a thunderstorm, and then it's going to be cooler and less humid Thursday and Friday. We'll have sunshine both days, upper 70s on Thursday, mid 70s on Friday. I'm WHAV meteorologist Rob St. Pierre. Your next WAVE weather in 30 minutes.
Your soft gold favorites. WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tim Coco, and you're tuned correctly for the Open Mic Show on WHAV. Tonight, we hope to hear from John Ranieri, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He'll be on after the news, but we're going to look at his uncle, Joseph J. Durso, a Haverhill alderman, a Haverhill city councilor, and a candidate for state representative during the 1950s. I have a trivia question out there that I'll throw out again right now at the start. If you can name the one location that I think there's only one, name the one location named for Joseph J. Durso in Haverhill. The first person to identify that location correctly can take their pick of one of these two Trivial Pursuit games. One is War and Victory, and the other is Flicks. Our thanks go out to Kimball Tavern Antiques, corner of Salem and South Main Streets in Haverhill, Bradford, for providing those gifts. We have more prizes, but first let me tell you that this hour of the Open Mic Show is being brought to you by the Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council. Smart companies choose the Merrimack Valley. Tonight, the Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council is sponsoring both halves of the show, since I neglected to make much mention of them last week. So we tried to be fair. Now, as far as the other prizes, there's plenty of prizes, and we may as well kick off the evening by talking about them. Yes, we're slow getting them mailed out, but those who are waiting for prizes, rest assured you will receive them. All right, here is, first of all, the big one, the one that's most popular, everyone seems to enjoy, the Albie's Italian Bakery birthday cakes here on WHAV. We are taking until 8:15. That's it, right? Until 8:15, September birthdays and anniversaries. If you thought you missed the contest, this is the night we make the drawing. So if you have a birthday wish or an anniversary wish for your spouse, your neighbors, your friends, your coworkers, yourself even, call in 978-374-1900. Nate will take the name. You will say happy birthday or happy anniversary on the air. That's a requirement to win a prize. You will say it on the air, and your name or the recipient's name will be placed into the hat for drawing at 8:15 tonight. This is the big night. Get those birthdays and anniversaries in for September. The winner will receive a 7-inch cake. Choice of vanilla or chocolate from Albie D's Italian Bakery, 140 South Main Street, right here in Haverhill. They're on the Bradford side of the river. Always confusing to have to do this Haverhill-Bradford thing. Bradford is technically part of Haverhill, but it does have its own zip code, 01835, so the post office recognizes it. And even Ward Hill has its own post office, and the post office recognizes that. So maybe it's just safe to say Haverhill, Bradford, Ward Hill, all the same place. Of course, there was the Great War of 1896, as I like to say, that brought Bradford into Haverhill. It was a separate town after all. Now, it wasn't a great war, but it certainly sounds fun to say that when officially Bradford was annexed by Haverhill, 1896. All right, so we have birthday cakes. The easiest prize to win is simply to call and ask. Be the first one to ask, and you will receive a free pass to the John Greenleaf Whittier Birthplace. Now, you hear me mention this every week, but perhaps I've neglected to tell you that it is a museum, a house museum, which becoming more rare as we go. House museums have a difficult time, but Whittier's birthplace, he was born there in 1807, is right here in Haverhill, and you can get a free pass to his home and check out the sites. Augustin Roosh, curator of the birthplace, will take you through a tour of a house that was actually built in 1688 by an ancestor of John Greenleaf Whittier's, Thomas Whittier. Be the first to ask for it, 978-374-1900, and you receive a free pass. Okay, so we have a trivia question on Joe Durso. We have birthday cakes. We have a Whittier pass. And we still have this question outstanding from Open Mic Show historian David Goudsward. He says that famous Haverhillite Rob Zombie, in a Rolling Stone interview, was asked what he did for fun growing up in Haverhill, and he said there, in fact, was nothing to do here. This was the age of the wrecking ball, after all, and buildings were coming down. But he did play football in an unusual location. Identify the location, and again, the first person who asks will have a choice of Trivial Pursuit games, or whichever one remains if someone answers another trivia question. But right now, those Trivial Pursuit games are War and Victory and Flicks. These are mini packs if you're listening on the radio. If you're watching on television, which seems unlikely on Channel 22 for some reason, there we go, right there. You have a choice. You can see the games, one or the other. All right. Oh, and there's still more prizes. This is the show where all these great things are free. All right. For a $10 gift certificate to Kimball Tavern Antiques, corner of Salem and South Main Streets, answer this question. Name the oldest bowling league in Haverhill. I don't know if it's 10-pin. I don't know if it's candle pin. Anyone who knows the answer might know, but name the oldest bowling league in Haverhill, and you can win a $10 same-as-cash gift certificate to Kimball Tavern Antiques. Now, with a lot of these, it's so easy to guess. You might very well have the correct answer. So let's look at these three trivia questions tonight. Joe Durso, what is named after him in Haverhill? Take a guess. Where did Rob Zombie play football? Take a guess. What's the name of the oldest bowling league in Haverhill? Take a guess if you don't know. And I don't mean to whack the microphone. All right, so there's some great things. We should catch up a little bit on news headlines. And there's something good and bad in news headlines, and something for everyone. Let's start in reverse order. I think Jerry, Open Mic Show environmental consultant, might have something to say about this. He's probably been trying to say it, but we've had such a busy schedule lately. But in October 1st, commercial food waste can no longer go to the dump or the incinerator, cannot be put out with the trash. There has to be a method of taking care of it otherwise. So, let's see. A new statewide regulation is banning disposing of food waste and other commercial organics at landfills or incinerators beginning in October. The Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce is actually going to have a free seminar for businesses to discuss this October food waste ban. Now, this item has come up in the news quite a bit because there was a proposal for a so-called anaerobic digester in Haverhill on Hilldale Avenue. Some concern, obviously, about smells, about traffic, and we haven't heard much more about that since. So maybe someone has an update if you've seen someone sneaking around your neighborhood finding a place for rotten food, as it turns out. Obviously, another item in the news, again, we're doing this in reverse order. Market basket workers and customers seem to be disappointed, understandably, that the board of directors of Market Basket canceled a meeting that was to have taken place last night at 10 o'clock. Although most people are still hopeful that there is a deal in the works and that perhaps the reason the meeting didn't take place last night is that the other Demoulas, the bad Demoulas, should we say, Arthur S., got married this weekend, so maybe had other things on his mind other than a board meeting. So if you have a observation, I know that managers are calling employees, checking on their availability for work. So the managers appear to be getting ready for a big announcement. And I'd like your thoughts on that as well. Do you shop at Market Basket? Have you been boycotting? Do you work there? Have your hours been cut? Or worse? Let's hear your thoughts on this. We're not going to invent any news headlines right now. There seems to be cautious optimism, but that's about all. And now, of course, the biggest news that's been on WHAV beginning Saturday when it happened. A 26-year-old was killed in a head-on collision in Methuen. And apparently the driver of the other car was a Lowell police officer, and he has been charged in that death. Perhaps you have a thought or concern or condolences in that case. All right, that's the basics. Let's take our first phone call. You are on the Open Mic Show.
That's me.
That's you.
Birthday time, as promised.
Oh, good. I was hoping you were tuning in before 8:15.
Well, it's funny. I had trouble with my TV, and came up, and the other TV is fine, but I got you on the computer now. So.
Well, actually, I think there was a little delay in getting us on 22 because I see it now.
Yeah.
All right, but anyway, you have birthdays. All right, which lucky women are up this time?
Marcy.
What's that?
Marcy.
Marcy. I shouldn't guess. Last week I guessed wrong. There was a guy and a girl. So Marcy this week. Okay. And what can you tell us about Marcy?
Not much. I haven't seen her in a long time, but I remember her birthday, though.
Oh, well, that's very nice of you. And who else is on your list?
I got an anniversary for Mick and Dina.
Mick and Dana.
Mick as in like Mickey Mouse?
Mick and Dana. Happy anniversary. Do you know which one it is?
Mick and Dina.
All right. Do you know how many years they've been married?
Let's see, 32.
32 years. You really keep all of this, don't you? Very
I could
good.
be wrong, but you're not going to know.
I'm not going to know. You're right. Yeah. Their anniversary might have been in December, and I won't know.
Well, I know the anniversary is 9/11.
Oh, okay.
So that's a date you don't forget.
You're absolutely right. You don't. All right. And not to put you on a personal spot, I understand your wife has had some setbacks?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, she's passed away.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I haven't been on the computer yet today to thank everybody
Oh, my goodness. I'm so sorry.
But yeah, she's in a better place now, I say. And
I know you've had a real tough time of it.
oh, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm so sorry to hear that. And our wishes, and I'm sure I speak for most of all the listeners to this show, we feel really bad. And you can tell that we do keep track of what's going on in your life.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
So, yeah, so anyway, well, thank you very much for letting us know, and please accept our condolences.
Sure.
And,
Thank you for that.
And
I want to take a stab at Zombie there.
Okay.
Don't tell me. He played football in the Dust Bowl?
No, I'm afraid not. But that's a good guess, because I guess the point of the interview in Rolling Stone was that there wasn't anything down there but a dust bowl. But apparently he did not play football there.
Okay. Just thought I'd give it a shot.
Maybe it was just too dirty. Although football's a dirty game, I don't know. That's a good. That was an excellent guess considering the clues, but no. All right then. Well, we'll get these birthday cakes in, and we really do appreciate your call.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
That is sad news, and I'm sure listeners agree with me on that. All right. We have to take a brief break, and when we come back, we'll do the rundown of where and how to listen and talk a little bit more about the news. Take your phone calls, largely open lines tonight, and we'll talk about the late and former Haverhill City Councilor Joseph J. Durso after the news. But let's take a brief break. I think this hour we'll hear a moment in Massachusetts history that you should find interesting. We'll be right back.
Open mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
Phil Christie here. Are you listening to WHAV on cable television? If so, join WHAV in thanking the board, staff, and members of your local public access channel.
Catch the wave!
Those political sound bites you hear on the news are, at best, incomplete and could be misleading or even outright lies. This is David Pakman. Take time to delve into the truth by listening to The David Pakman Show, Tuesday through Friday nights at 8 on WHAV. Lack of logic and reason are exposed on The David Pakman Show as newsmakers collapse under cross-examination. Remember, only local radio can bring you this talk opportunity, but only WHAV does.
Expect more at Northern Essex. With campuses in Haverhill and Lawrence, Northern Essex Community College is the only state college located in the lower Merrimack Valley region of Massachusetts. Northern Essex offers over 70 associate degree and certificate programs in the areas of health, business, computers and technology, criminal justice, liberal arts, and more. NECC also provides hundreds of non-credit courses designed for career growth and personal enrichment. For more information, visit necc.mass.edu.
Today is August 25th. On this day in 1802, Harvard College awarded Nathaniel Bowditch an honorary master's degree. The Salem-born astronomer, mathematician, and navigator was almost entirely self-educated. His formal schooling ended when he was 10. While apprenticed to a ship chandler, he taught himself mathematics, astronomy, Latin, Greek, and French. Later, during his years at sea, he began working on the New American Practical Navigator, the first complete and accurate handbook of navigation tables. The Practical Navigator was first published in 1802. It is still in print and in use over 2 centuries later. Tradition has it that no sailor left port without a Bible, a chest of clothes, a mother's blessing, and his copy of Bowditch. For more about this and other Mass Moments, go online to massmoments.org. Brought to you by the Massachusetts Foundation for the Humanities.
From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents The Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
You're listening to the Open Mic Show, a 50-year staple of democracy in the Merrimack Valley. This hour of the Open Mic Show is being brought to you by the Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council. Smart companies choose the Merrimack Valley. And you know, you don't have to be a smart company to benefit from the council. Go to their website and sign up for the most comprehensive listing of things to do and news that you should be aware of that may affect your wallet by going to merrimackvalley.info and look at Merrimack Valley happenings. There's a link right on the front page, and then you can actually sign up to receive that in your inbox each week. So take a look at that. Now, speaking of signing up for your inbox, WHAV News is adding yet another feature. If you want to receive headlines in your email box every day, all you have to do is go to WHAV.net, scroll to the bottom of the page, put in your first name and your email address. That's all, and you'll be added to the list to receive news in your email box in the morning. Plenty of news on WHAV's expanded website. But before we go to that, let me remind you, largely open lines tonight. Call 978-374-1900. If you're just joining us, quite a few prizes still left here. We're going to draw September birthdays and anniversaries tonight at 8:15. So if you have a birthday wish or an anniversary wish for someone or a lucky couple, call 978-374-1900. Do it before 8:15 so you can get into the drawing. Then it's closed until next week when we start on October birthdays and anniversaries. Okay, obviously you're listening or watching the program somehow. Let me go through the options with you because there are some exciting changes. You can watch the program at WHAV.TV on your computer or smartphone. And smartphone users, you no longer need any external applications. It'll appear right on your phone. No extra plugins or anything like that. Go to WHAV.TV and you'll go right to the picture page. And on that page, I just want to make a note of this. Would now take your comments directly, and you can sign in with Facebook, Twitter, whatever other membership you have, so that you can comment quite easily. So let us know what you're thinking during the program if you're shy. Of course, we prefer that you call in, but if you have a tip or a comment and you'd rather not pick up the phone, maybe you've got barking dogs in the background or, something like that. So you can use the message board right below the TV screen at WHAV.net. In fact, I'll refresh mine now just to see if anything new has come in. Of course, you can always watch the Open Mic Show on Haverhill Community Television, or HC Media as it's known, Channel 22 in Haverhill. Now, of course, WHAV is much more than the Open Mic Show, and you can listen to WHAV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, everything from soft gold music from 1954 to 1979, all the way through news and talk and drama and so on, WHAV.net. Now, if you're at WHAV.net, you may notice it looks suspiciously like WHAV.TV. You're just on a different page, and that is true. You can always go to the tune-in button to switch to TV. You can also listen on AM radio 1640. No news yet about WHAV's FM application before the Federal Communications Commission. If and when that is granted, WHAV will be at 98.1 FM on your dial. Also on cable television, usually the sound behind those bulletin boards, Andover Channel 8, Haverhill Channel 22, Methuen Channels 8 and 22 on Comcast, Channel 32 on Verizon Fios, and in southern New Hampshire, Plasto, Channels 17 and 23, Sandown, Channel 17. If you have a friend in Massachusetts outside of one of these areas, they might try Channel 32 if they have Verizon Fios, because Methuen's Channel 32 is aired statewide there. All right, again, to interact with the program, 978-374-1900. If you are shy, use the message board at WHAV.tv. And if all else fails, you can email me directly, tcoco, T-C-O-C-O, at WHAV.net. Let's go to the phones. You are on the Open Mic Show.
Good evening, Tim.
Hi there. Did you hear my calling your name out?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Because I thought you might, because you have something else you want to say too. So what's?
Well, first I want to wish my condolences to the family and friends of the fellow that got hit in the head-on collision in Methuen. It's a terrible tragedy.
It is terrible. 26 years old. Tragedy, no matter what the age is.
Just getting to the age where, there would be so much ahead of them, really,
No,
it's really
that was
sad.
A tragic
I'm
death.
I hope that justice will be served.
No, and there's some serious charges there.
It's really hard to talk about anything after that, Tim,
I know.
Anything of any other situation. It's such a terrible tragedy and a great loss. I'm really saddened by it.
No, that was a Lowell police officer named Eric Wayne, 41.
I didn't even mention the name because.
And then the victim, I know what you're saying, but the case people haven't picked this up as Bryant Paula.
It affects his family too.
Yeah, it does absolutely. No one
alcohol, drugs, alcohol. Whatever.
Yeah, he was charged with having an open container of alcohol.
Yeah.
Now, obviously,
whatever. It affects everybody. It touches everybody.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I took the pledge many years ago. Not at 13 like most of the Irish do, but later on in life when an associate of mine who had a big job was driving and he drove up on the median on Route 1 in Boston and he had sugar, it was a Christmas party, and Christmas parties are bad. You know that,
No, absolutely. Yeah, those are the.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he got arrested, but he didn't lose his job, and he was a regional engineer. That's a big job.
No, it is.
Well, anyway,
times have changed. There's less of a tolerance today for that.
The FM station, you said that you haven't heard yet. Well, what they always say, that no news is good news. I'm sure that it's going to be good news for you.
Well, we're pretty confident that this is going to work out, but the FCC has been tied up on the other side of the country dealing with the multiple applications in California. So,
I see, yeah.
We think that, we don't think it's bad news that we haven't heard anything. I know that there's only so many workers in and of course, you worked for the government too. There's always something else to do.
Move slowly. The government moves slowly.
But I had a reason I mentioned your name earlier. I thought you might comment on this because, and you probably have mentioned it in the past, but
I have. I know what you're going to talk about.
Well, it made it to the front pages.
The anaerobic digesters. I thought that was over.
Well, the reason I brought it up again is because on WHAV News today, that businesses are suddenly realizing that on October 1st, they cannot put food waste out with the garbage. and that they're going to need to have some kind of processing. And I thought maybe you'd have some insight on that. I know the Merrimack...
One of the ways to process it is
leftovers. No,
oink,
I'm sorry.
Oink. But now you're talking pig farms and things like that.
No,
the garbage has to be cooked too to a very high temperature so that you don't get what's called trichinosis, which is a terrible disease.
Oh, Roy, tell us what that is.
Yeah, it destroys the nerve endings. So you walk around, if you can walk around. It's kind of a worm. So in order to use garbage, it has to be cooked, like almost in a retort. And I think there's still maybe a few around. One maybe up in Tewksbury, I remember. I remember smelling it on Route 38, I think. But anyway, anaerobic digestion is it's in itself is good, but in that particular case in Haverhill, it was a siting problem. I mean, here we are in a residential light commercial area, and they were going to site it there, and so I helped some of the people out. People from New Hampshire showed up at the meeting. There were 150 people at a meeting that I went to.
That's right. It was on the border between Atkinson and Plastow and Haverhill.
Because it was very close to a development in private homes in Atkinson, New Hampshire, too. Well, anyway, I thought it went away, but this Commissioner Kimmel, I'm not going to say in the dark of night, but that's what it almost is, pushed through another set of regulations that basically aborted the responsibility of local boards of health on citing these facilities. In other words, under the old process, the first step in getting something like this approved was a hearing at the Board of Health. Well, it's no longer necessary because of this previous commissioner passing these new regulations. And
no, that's right. But it's funny. We're going to see this end up on our tax bills because those impacted aren't just food industry suppliers, restaurants, and function halls, but they're also schools.
Schools, you're right.
Yeah, that's in this.
And it's going to end up on the backs of the restaurateurs too, because
that's right. So we're going to pay for it in probably some increased costs at our favorite restaurants. We're going to pay for it on our tax bills. And we haven't heard, other than from you, we have not heard much about addressing this, and now we're at deadline.
It was quietly done. I mean, it was quietly done. Another set of regulations, I know that the sludge from sewage treatment plants, and I know that they can do the same thing with these kinds of materials. They have what's called a windrow technique.
Yes.
Where it's piled up, it's mixed and piled, and it's turned over every other day, and but obviously it has to be. The whole thing is siting, Tim. The whole thing is siting.
No, you're absolutely right. Find the best location.
The other thing
it's tougher.
It can be done is it could be amalgamated into sludge digestion. That's the Haverhill sewage treatment plant doesn't have sludge digestion, but Greater Lawrence does. There's no reason why. I don't think, engineering-wise and technology-wise, I don't think there is any problem with it being taken at an anaerobic digester, something like something like at Greater Lawrence, or there is energy in obviously when you produce methane gas and you clean it up, it can be used to the process is such that the waste material, the garbage, is put into a large vat. Obviously, you have to have favorable bacteria to attack the waste and break it down, and and the pH has to be properly, properly taken care of, and it has to be mixed. And it does produce methane gas, which can be used to heat the digesters. I forgot to say the digester,
That's
the
right.
tank that it's put in.
And of
Has
course,
to be
methane
heated.
gas, I'm told, is is one of those greenhouse gases that's actually preferable to burn it rather than let it escape.
Yeah, and you've seen these venting flares at landfills, maybe.
Yes.
Basically, what they're burning is just the methane, which is a mixture of, clean methane and other gases. And you see the flares on landfills. You see them. One thing they've done, I don't know whether the technology is advanced, but they collect them all. They manifold them and do the same thing as they would in a digester.
Right.
The other thing I wanted to ask you was, they just signed, it's a different topic, and maybe somebody else there can tell me, but I thought maybe you might. They just signed this guy from Cuba, who hasn't been a friend of ours in the past, right?
Right.
Cuba. Remember
Been
Kennedy,
quite a few years.
missile crisis? I don't think we've ever got over that, and I don't think we've ever given up Guantanamo Bay. I was there in Guantanamo Bay.
Oh, were you?
I was on the battleship Alaska and went there for what's called a shakedown. When you get a brand new
Oh, sure. Okay.
battle cruiser.
Right.
There were only 3 built, three of that kind built. And anyway, we went to Guantanamo Bay for a shakedown and then back. But anyway, this guy is from Cuba. They just signed him for $73 million. I understand it slipped out in the news that he has to get his visa. And I'm just wondering, does he have to pay taxes on that $73 million?
It's an interesting. Well, I would guess so, depending on what state he's in, I suppose. But that's very interesting.
I have a family member who I don't know whether he renounced his citizenship, but he was in the service in the Air Force, and he settled in Germany. No, Italy. He bought 40 acres in Italy, and he grows olives and things, peaches,
Yes. Oh, right.
things like that. And he doesn't pay any U.S. tax.
Now, that's interesting. And actually, unfortunately, we don't have time to get into it, but you raise some bigger questions. How these negotiations even took place when there's an economic embargo with Cuba.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that on Cuba, yeah.
That's right. So this is, we don't have time. We have to go to news, but let's revisit this.
I hope you get an attorney or somebody calling.
I'd love to know more myself about this. And
Yeah,
besides,
me too.
I didn't know we issued
don't think it's
H-1B
fair.
visas for this.
I don't think it's fair, Tim, if he doesn't pay taxes.
No, absolutely. So
It's almost like one of these companies like moving to China, to Canada to escape corporation taxes, correct?
no, yeah, that's what, inversion or something
yeah,
like that?
yeah,
No,
yeah.
you're absolutely right.
All right.
Oh, thank you very much for your call, and we appreciate
you.
your thoughts. Thanks. Okay, we're going to news a little bit late. We often do that. And what we'll do is we're going to split the rest of the half hour up a little bit. We're going to go to news, and then I hope we have John. Is John already on the phone? All right, hopefully we'll have John to talk about Joseph J. Durso. But we'll be back with more of the Open Mic Show after the news, weather, and Nate Webster's famous NASCAR race recap.
Open mic.
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
It's 7:09.
WHAV Merrimack Valley. WHAV is a not-for-profit service of Public Media of New England, Incorporated. It's heard on 1640 AM, the web, at whav.net, and participating cable television stations.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Rebecca Foster. The funeral of 18-year-old Michael Brown, who was shot dead by a police officer earlier in August, has been taking place in the U.S. city of Ferguson, Missouri. His death sparked several days of violent clashes in the area last week, but thousands of mourners at Friendly Temple Missionary Baptist Church have remained peaceful. U.S. correspondent Lorna Shattuck reports.
Singing, dancing and clapping to gospel music, Michael Brown's funeral service began on an energetic note. Several family members shared their stories about the teenager with thousands of mourners who crammed into the church. Many of them had queued for 3 hours to be there. The teenager's father, Michael Brown Sr., said that his son had been a gentle soul, while cousin Eric Davis encouraged people to show any anger they felt at the ballot box, not with violence. Civil rights leaders Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton were among those in the congregation, along with 3 White House officials.
Ukraine's military has said it's fighting rebel armored vehicles that reportedly crossed into Ukrainian territory from Russia. This comes as Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko prepare for a series of meetings in Minsk to discuss the ongoing crisis in eastern Ukraine. Here's Jake Rashbass from Moscow.
Ukraine's military announced that it stopped the column near the town of Novoazovsk as it was heading towards Mariupol, a city in the southeast of the country. One military commander said that the column suggests that pro-Russian rebels may be seeking to open a new front in the south of the country against forces from Kiev. When asked at a press conference in Moscow, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that he had not heard anything about the column and expressed doubts at the reports, referring to what he called regular disinformation about alleged Russian incursions.
The French Prime Minister Manuel Valls has submitted the resignation of the government following a row over the country's economy. Talks over the weekend saw French President François Hollande severely criticized for his handling of the economy by many of his top ministers. A new government is expected to be formed by Tuesday. Our correspondent Ollie Barrett is in France. He says the country's lack of economic competitiveness in the Eurozone is to blame.
François Hollande was under pressure to deal with what had started to look like a rebellion against the government's economic policies, with 2 important ministers calling for a change in recent days. François Hollande has now called for a new cabinet to be formed consistent with the direction he has set for the country. François Hollande knew that la rentrée, the return of government, would be difficult given France's economic situation, but he would not have expected to be having to form a new government in his first full week back.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Here's what's happening in local news. A group of market basket workers are calling upon their fellow protesters for continued calm and faith for a deal to be finalized between ousted CEO Arthur T. DeMoulis and rival relatives in his reported $1.5 billion buyout offer. Reacting to a last-minute cancellation last night for a meeting of the company's board of directors, the group known as Save Market Basket said on Facebook they are accustomed to disappointment, but, quote, now that we seem to be so close to our goal, this one certainly stings, end quote. Save Market Basket says they are all looking forward to a resolution that might allow them to resume their lives again. They believe the size of the transaction, while close, is enormous and complex. Quote, we can only assume that the documents must not be ready and the board has no reason to hold a meeting until they are all in order. In the meantime, we keep on keeping on, we protest and we boycott, and we keep our faith, the group said. A New Hampshire man is charged in connection with an alleged hit-and-run crash in Haverhill involving a stolen motor vehicle. Haverhill police report 26-year-old Richard J. Vaughn of Twin Mountain, New Hampshire, was arrested shortly after 10 a.m. Sunday on Primrose Street. He is charged with possession of a stolen motor vehicle, leaving the scene of an accident, operating to endanger, operation after license suspension, and larceny under $250. 2 Haverhill boys, ages 13 and 12, are accused of breaking into a Washington Street home on Sunday afternoon. Haverhill police report both juveniles were taken into custody at 2:15 p.m. Sunday at 472 Washington Street. Each is charged with felony breaking and entering in the daytime. Their identities are being withheld due to their age. In sports, WHAV's Nate Webster has this week's NASCAR race recap.
NASCAR under the lights this weekend at Bristol was full of tight racing, caution-filled action, and frustrated drivers on the track they call the fastest half mile. The Blue Deuce Brad Keselowski tries a last-lap dive bomb into the corner but comes up short. Joey Logano was your race winner, helping Ford and Team Penske sweep all 3 races this weekend. Logano considers Bristol a bad mamma jamma racetrack and wishes he was at Atlanta on Monday.
I feel like the Bristol night race is maybe the 3rd or 4th biggest race of the year. It's just the baddest mamma jamma racetrack ever built. It's so much fun to go around, and you got to hustle the cars so hard, and it means a lot to be able to get this victory. And all of us got to win. Everyone's happy. So right now, the momentum we have and the cars that we have, we've been fast at every type of racetrack, and I wish we were in Atlanta tomorrow.
Pit road speeding penalties were handed out like candy at Halloween to Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, and Kevin Harvick. Johnson went back for seconds. Denny Hamlin was taken out when he got into the 4 of Kevin Harvick. The 2 also collected Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the process. Hamlin showed his displeasure by hauling his Hans safety device at the 4 car. For Race Recap, I'm Nate Webster, WHAV Sports.
Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source, and it's always free. In the Edwin V. Johnson newsroom, this is Dana Esmel.
WHAV weather.
I'm WHAV meteorologist Rob St. Pierre with WAVE weather. We're looking at clear skies headed through the night with a low temperature around 60. Tuesday will feature lots of sunshine, maybe a little more humid, warming up to 85. It'll be clear Tuesday nights. There may be some fog after midnight, low 63, and then Wednesday, partly to mostly sunny, very warm and humid, highs in the upper 80s. There could be a late day shower or a thunderstorm, and then it's going to be cooler and less humid Thursday and Friday. We'll have sunshine both days, upper 70s on Thursday, mid 70s on Friday. I'm WHAV meteorologist Rob St. Pierre. Your next WAVE weather in 30 minutes.
Your donations enable WHAV to remain local and independent. Consider giving what you can afford at WHAV.net.
WHAV, Merrimack Valley, open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
Welcome back to the Open Mic Show. I'm Tim Coco. Nathan E. Webster III is in master control. He's going to be answering the phones before he passes them along to me. All right, this hour of the Open Mic Show is being brought to you by the Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council. Smart companies choose the Merrimack Valley. Okay, all kinds of prizes still here. Let me, though, first go to the message board below the screen at WHAV.tv. David Goudswood made an excellent point. Hard to read the board when the newest messages go to the bottom and last week's are above it. So we have cleared the message board. All of last week's comments have been removed. It's nice and clear. Why don't you chime in on anything that you're afraid to talk about yourself by going to the message board? You can sign in with Facebook, Twitter, WordPress, or you can create your own WHAV account there. Go to WHAV.tv, and below the screen you'll see that. All right, let's look at the prizes. Now, in about an hour, we're going to be giving away the birthday cake from Albie's second-generation Italian bakery, 140 South Main Street on the Bradford side of the river. And you could enter, if you haven't already, if you have a friend, a coworker, a spouse, yourself, who want to wish a happy birthday or a happy anniversary for September. That's the key word here, September. Then call in 978-374-1900. We'll draw the name from a hat at 8:15 or so. The winner will receive a 7-inch freshly baked, wonderful tasting cake, vanilla or chocolate, sugar frosting, and all you have to do is wait for your letter to arrive from WHAV indicating, or the recipient will receive it, indicating they have won. Call Albie's Italian Bakery, tell them what kind of cake you want, and then show up with your letter. That's your proof, and you'll win a free cake. Thanks so much to Albie second-generation Italian bakery. In case you're wondering, it's not just cakes over there. All kinds of great things. Italian breads, cookies, pastries, pizzas, meat pies, much more. All handmade from scratch by their baking staff using only the best quality ingredients. You can get a quick snack or take care of an entire function. So please check out the generous sponsor of the Open Mic Show, Albie Italian Bakery. All right, that's easy enough. Just call and wish someone a happy birthday or a happy anniversary. Enter it into the drawing. Let's go through the rest of the prizes. Free for the asking. No trivia questions. You don't have to stand on your head. You don't have to scream like a chicken. If anyone remembers that reference from the old Dick Van Dyke Show, just ask and you can receive a free pass to the John Greenleaf Whittier Birthplace Museum, right at 305 Whittier Road in Haverhill, right off Route 110 going toward Merrimack. Is a great example of a 17th century farmhouse, and you get to learn a little more about Whittier, who was famous. Just as the musicians and rock stars are famous today, Whittier was famous for his poetry back in the 19th century. His most famous poem, Snowbound, is reenacted just about every other year at the birthplace. I believe that'll be coming up in February. This pass won't work for that. You want to get there in the next couple of months. So free for the asking. Okay, lots of trivia questions here for prizes. One, we were expecting and hope we'll still receive a call from John Ranieri to discuss his uncle, the late Joseph J. Durso. But we have a question, trivia question. There is at least one location that I'm aware of named for Joseph J. Durso in Haverhill. Take a guess. What is that location? And the first person to answer can take their pick of one of these two Trivial Pursuit games, one War and Victory and the other Flicks. First come, first serve on those prizes. Just tell us where, what location in Haverhill is named for Joseph J. Durso. Incidentally, kind of the tease our segment, Durso served the city of Haverhill as an alderman from 1948 to 1950 and a city councilor from 1952 to 56. In just a second, we're going to play a old WHAV commercial for his candidacy for state representative. He was from Ward 7 in Haverhill. All right, so that's another trivia question. From David Gounswood, Open Mic Show historian, Haverhillite, famous Haverhillite, Rob Zombie, was interviewed by Rolling Stone. They asked him what he did for fun growing up in Haverhill. He said there was nothing to do here. This is the age of the wrecking ball. One of our previous callers suggested perhaps Rob Zombie played football in the Dust Bowl. No, although Rob Zombie was upset about that Dust Bowl during urban renewal. Rob Zombie played football somewhere else in Haverhill. Take a guess, and you could win, again, one of these Trivial Pursuit games. And our big prize of the evening from our friends at Kimball Tavern Antiques, a corner of Salem and South Main Streets, very generous benefactors of WHAV. They're offering a $10 gift certificate, same as cash. You get this gift certificate, go in. If it costs $10 or less, it's yours. And if it costs more, well, then you got a $10 break. Here's the question. Name the oldest bowling league in Haverhill. Name the oldest bowling league in Haverhill, and you could get that $10 gift certificate. You know, don't be bashful, as my father would have said. Call in and take a chance and guess at these. We're going to take a brief break for Community Spotlight. Everything's running just a little bit late, but why don't we take that break while you get up the courage to dial 978-374-1900 and take a chance on one of these prizes or raise a new topic yourself. We'll be right back.
WHAV Retromercial.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joseph J. Durso speaking. In this election, I have just one promise to make: to support and sponsor legislation for the benefit of all the people, regardless of party affiliation or special interest. Republicans and independent voters Ask for a Republican ballot and support intelligent, forceful representation by voting for Joseph J. Durso for state representative for District 4, Wards 1, 3, and 5. Thank you.
Open mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
Still not sure when your favorite features are broadcast? Check out the What's On page at www.whav.net for complete listings.
Community Spotlight is brought to you by Haverhill Bank. Haverhill Bank is a generous supporter of the area's civic and cultural program.
That's all it takes, it's just one bank. Haverhill Bank. Community Spotlight.
The Essex National Heritage Area is putting on display Essex County's historic and natural sites during the 6-day Trails and Sales event. Taking place over the weekends of September 19th to the 21st and 26th to the 28th, events include guided walks, historical tours, sales, and other activities exploring the 34 cities and towns of Boston's North Shore. Trails and Sales is free and open to the public, and for more information, visit www.trailsandsales.org. Remember, someone you know is on WHAV. To submit or read your own nonprofit announcements, click on the news page at whav.net or email news@whav.net. In the Edwin B. Johnson newsroom, this is Ben Hoyt.
WHAV. Open mic.
From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
Welcome back to the Open Mic Show, a 50-year staple of democracy in the Merrimack Valley. I'm Tim Coco. Thank you for joining us. All right, a good chance to talk about a few things that Nate's reminded me, but of course, you've seen this great new WHAV website. Local news, just more news than you ever thought possible, frankly, because competition helps news coverage. As more media look for things, more is found. Never a shortage of news. If you enjoy receiving this level of news coverage in Haverhill, then perhaps you'd like to support WHAV. WHAV is a non-profit corporation. Your contributions are deductible to the extent allowed by law, as our attorneys say. So here's your chance. Become a WHAV member and listen to these options. If you're a student or a senior citizen, just $10, and that makes you a member for the year. If you're a little more generous or otherwise don't qualify, $25 or more makes you a member of WHAV. And just think of the happiness that you'll feel and the the admiration we'll feel for you if you help pay for the news on WHAV. And of course, membership goes up from there. And you can even do the budget plan. On the website, you can make monthly payments. So consider those options. We'll be doing a really big capital campaign once the Federal Communications Commission approves the new FM station. So why don't you get ahead of the game and help reduce the amount of begging we'll have to do. Really do appreciate your interests. Okay, before we go to weather, as we catch up with time, David Goudswood is saying that he's not afraid to talk on the open mic message board at whav.tv, but my tie is terrifying him. You know, I thought this was a pretty conservative tie this week. No, I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to renew my challenge to charities. If you would like me to wear a tie representing your charity as a way to help, send one to me, give me the details, and we will put it on the air. Pretty easy. It's kind of fun. David is, making light of this because, what else is there to talk about? Summer is coming to a close. What are you doing? Are you suddenly terrified about summer's end and trying to get everything in order to close the pool or try to take a few vacation days from work because you missed it? I think some of my staff is listening. I might do that myself this week, take a couple of days, because it's going to be a great week. All right, speaking of the great weather this week, let's go to local weather with WHAV's own meteorological team. See if you can say meteorological fast. I'm not even sure I did it well. So we'll be back right after local weather.
Open mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
It's 7:31.
When local news breaks, the wave is there. Soft gold. WHAV.
Catch the wave!
The most trusted man in America, news anchor Walter Cronkite, once said, "It is absolutely essential in a democracy to have competition in the media, a lot of competition." That sentiment is one of the driving forces behind WHAV's expanded local news effort. This is News Director Dana Esmail inviting you to listen to my hourly weekday newscasts right here on WHAV. You'll also find the area's most comprehensive local news reporting at WHAV.net on your computer or smartphone. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source, and it's always free.
And that's the way it is.
Wave weather!
I'm WHAV meteorologist Rob St. Pierre with Wave Weather. We're looking at clear skies headed through the night with a low temperature around 60. Tuesday will feature lots of sunshine, maybe a little more humid, warming up to 85. It'll be clear Tuesday nights. There may be some fog after midnight, low 63, and then Wednesday, partly to mostly sunny, very warm and humid, highs in the upper 80s. There could be a late day shower or a thunderstorm, and then it's going to be cooler and less humid Thursday and Friday. We'll have sunshine both days, upper 70s on Thursday, mid 70s on Friday. I'm WHAV meteorologist Rob St. Pierre. Your next Wave Weather in 30 minutes.
WHAV Open Mic!
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
Sometimes I feel like Donald Trump with my name on everything, but yes, I am Tim Coco, and this is the Open Mic Show. Nathan E. Webster III is in master control, producing this program. Why don't you help him out by giving him a call? We'll put you on the air, 978-374-1900. He's making a pitch right now for you to call. All right, this hour of the Open Mic Show is being brought to you by the Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council. Smart companies choose the Merrimack Valley. And, every time I say their name, it occurs to me that, the classier sound is economic, the Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council. But I'm a New Englander, so it's economic. But maybe someone can tell me if they have a preference on that. All right. We were You heard just before one of the breaks the commercial for Joseph J. Durso when he was running for state representative back in the mid-1950s. It's interesting to note is if you listen carefully, and this is not a criticism, but if you listen carefully, he promises all things to all people. And we'll play that back in a minute. We're still hoping his nephew will call the program who inspired this segment. But let's tell you what we know about Joseph J. Durso. Interestingly enough, if you're into genealogy, and I know one of our listeners, Marcel, is the expert on this, so I won't even try, but the 1940 United States Census helps us with some history of Joseph J. Durso. He was born June 9th, 1912. He passed away in February 1981. He lived in Ward 7 of Haverhill. Now, that ward has changed from time to time. I think it was then Bradford and is Bradford today, but I could be wrong. In the 1940 census, his relationship to the head of household was as son. And these were other people who lived in the household. Carmelo Durso, who was 57 years old in 1940. Grace Durso, who was 48. Lena Durso, who was 21. Anthony Durso, 19. Josephine Durso was 12. And, of course, at that age, Joseph Durso was single. Now, 8 years after this census was taken, he became a Haverhill alderman. Now, you're saying, well, what is an alderman? Most of you may know this, but if not, it's a form of government where the city council also serves as department heads. So the person elected to the council might serve as the public safety alderman. One might be public buildings and so on. Actually, I'd love to hear from any of you who remember what those titles might have been. And the city council or the board of aldermen would choose someone from their own ranks to be mayor. So that is during the time that the person who previously was the longest-serving mayor, Glynn, was elected by the city council or the board of aldermen. So Durso served as an alderman from 1948 to 50. I believe we had a change of government to city manager around that time, but he returned to the city council 1952, served to 1956, and apparently during that time decided to run for state representative. And I believe we had more state representatives then than we do now, because Massachusetts, the original plan was for so many people there would be a state rep. And when it became so tremendously overcrowded at the State House, they reduced the number of state reps. If you have that commercial ready, let's examine that. So just let me know just before you put it on. So this is a commercial, and listen to it carefully, because we're in an election season again, primary coming up just a couple weeks, and is this the politician's promise or what? Let's go with this commercial from Joseph Durso.
WHAV Retromercial.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joseph J. Durso speaking. In this election, I have just one promise to make: to support and sponsor legislation for the benefit of all the people, regardless of party affiliation or special interest. Republicans and independent voters, ask for a Republican ballot and support intelligent, forceful representation by voting for Joseph J. Durso for state representative for District 4, Wards 1, 3, and 5. Thank you.
Wards 1, 3, and 5. That what he said? Okay, so just a few of the wards in Haverhill. All right, so he ran for state rep. As far as I can tell, he was not successful. But many people do remember him. And on Facebook, when this topic first came up, here's some of the comments. And if anyone knows if any of this is incorrect, let us know that as well. But Mary Ellen said, I remember him. I think he built Parkview Lane in Bradford. So he was a contractor. And his nephew, John, says he was a construction engineer. And then a few other people say they remember him. One person thought he built a stretch of homes on Garden Street where he grew up. Another mentioned that he may have built St. James School on Primrose Street and had at least 2 daughters that went to St. James. So do you remember Joseph J. Durso? Well, we have a trivia question out there. There is a location in Haverhill named for Joseph J. Durso. This came about shortly after his death in 1981. Take a guess at what that location is. And we're not going to keep this trivia question out there. I will give you the answer later tonight. But what is named for Joseph J. Durso? Call right now, 978-374-1900, and you can win one of these games. War and Victory mini pack for Trivial Pursuit, or Flicks mini pack Trivial Pursuit. And thank you, Nate, for reminding me. If you're watching on WHAV.tv or Channel 22, one of the things that kicked off this discussion is John Ranieri posted this poster of Durso for City Council. And so you have a sense of what he looked like, pretty dapper with the pocket square. David Gouts would never accuse me of being dapper. Maybe if I got a pocket square. What do you think? I guess I need a pocket. Oh, it's on the other side. All right, so, there are all kinds of critics about my fashion style here. But anyway, so any thoughts or memories of Joseph Durso? I know it goes back quite a ways, but one of the things we like to specialize in on the open mic show is the heritage of the city of Haverhill. So I'd like to know what your thoughts are. Okay, we're at about 20 minutes before the top of the hour. Other items that we have in the news. Certainly a tragedy in Methuen early Saturday morning. Where a 26-year-old was killed in a head-on car crash on Riverside, I think it's Riverside Drive in Methuen, and I'll check that it's Drive. And a Lowell police officer was charged with a motor vehicle homicide, driving while intoxicated, driving with an open container. Well, those of you who think that there's a lot of, and I hate to raise this in these circumstances, but I think it begs to be said, that thinks, well, police officers can get away with anything. Well, apparently not in this case. He was arrested and charged. He's 41 years old. This will be a tragedy for both families. And, the courts will ultimately decide how this goes. But a 26-year-old man lost his life. And again, drinking and driving don't mix, and it was a terrible tragedy. If you have any thoughts on that topic, 978-374-1900. Also, it's kind of as Jerry, WHAV's environmental consultant, pointed out, sometimes the legislature and the regulators work quietly. We're not sure why, if they were afraid of something or what. But as of October 1st, restaurants, schools, function halls will not be able to throw food waste out with the trash. Now, you might say, well, how much food waste could there be? Well, you skin an onion or clean off your carrots, peel a potato, all of that is waste. Now, most of you may have a way of dealing with that at home, putting it out with your flower garden to help it grow. Maybe there are ways, and no one's going to stop you from throwing that in the trash or down your garbage disposal, but they are going to prevent restaurants and schools. And I'm just wondering what the secret cost is going to be to taxpayers when we find out that all the school cafeterias have to come up with a disposal plan. Maybe they already have. Do you know? Give us a call, 978-374-1900. And, of course, when we went on the air, maybe something has changed since. But workers and customers of Market Basket, I'm going to give them all credit. This is one of the most successful boycotts in history. It's going to go down in the history books. Whether you agree or disagree with it, it doesn't matter. It's going to go in the history books. Market Basket has, at one estimate, lost $10 million a day as workers picketed in front of the stores, as warehouse workers were fired by the new management, and so deliveries weren't made to the stores. And customers, the biggest ones of all, just didn't go there. Anyone driving by a Market Basket in any one of the area communities, a matter of fact, all of WHAV's communities, I think except for Sandown, have a Market Basket. Parking lots are empty. So workers were waiting for the good news. A deal was brokered by Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick and New Hampshire Governor Maggie Hassan, but it didn't come together as everyone thought this weekend. Maybe that's a bad sign, or maybe it's simply because Arthur S. DeMois on one side got married and would rather not go to a board meeting. Maybe Arthur T., the one that workers and customers favor, would hope that Arthur S. would stay away. But in any event, what are your thoughts on the ongoing Market Basket battle? Some industry analysts seem to be worried that the chain cannot survive this, that people won't go back to their routine, and that when RDT takes on $1.5 billion of debt to take over the half of the company he does not own, that inevitably prices have to go up. What are your thoughts, if any? Even if you don't have any thoughts, give us a call, 978-374-1900. We're going to take a brief break. This hour, we have a very short movie review that might help you make your weekend plans. We'll be back with more of the Open Mic Show after this.
Open Mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
This is Pacifica Radio for the Merrimack Valley, WHAV.
Smart companies choose the Merrimack Valley. They're attracted by the region's technology and innovation, housing and education, workforce, arts, culture, and recreation, and convenient location and easy access. Learn more and look at profiles of all 24 cities and towns at the Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council website at merrimackvalley.info.
Catch the wave!
This is Tom Hartman inviting you to tune in to the Tom Hartman program on WHAV every weekday beginning at 3. I'll be here 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, taking your calls live. We'll tackle critical issues that impact working people at home, on the job, and throughout society. The Tom Hartman program is your media support group for We the People. Again, please join me weekdays beginning at 3 right here on WHAV. Remember, only local radio can bring you this progressive talk opportunity, but only WHAV does.
This is Take Two Movie Review. I'm Mike Friend. This week, something completely different. If you keep up with cinema at all, you've probably heard about director Richard Linklater's Boyhood, the 12-year project shot in annual increments documenting the life of a boy named Mason, Eller Coltrane in real life, from age 6 to 18. Part drama, part comedy, part cinema verite, it's a coming-of-age story. It could almost have been called girlhood or motherhood, as Linklater's daughter Lorelei gives a wonderful rendering of Mason's older sister Samantha, and Patricia Arquette portrays Mason's mom, mom, from desperate single parent all the way to a secure but somehow still desperate empty nester. Ethan Hawke is effective as the kid's dad, doing his best to stay in their lives and avoiding the trivialization similar characters often suffer. Boyhood also avoids dramatic excess, telling its story and shaping its characters, which really is the story, with everyday encounters that are filed under joy, pain, loss, or sometimes just confusion. More of an observation than a criticism would be that, not unlike other art house releases, the characters here are culturally involved and academically connected, which may cause the film to lose resonance with demographic groups outside of Daily Show Democrats. That said, Boyhood is an amazing achievement that will have you identifying, maybe uncomfortably closely, with one or more of the characters. With so many movies scrambling to interest you and parting with another $10 for the sequel, the probable lack of one here may someday leave you with an empty place in your heart, not dissimilar to the feelings you might have about real people in your life with whom you've lost track, wondering what became of this boy and his family. This has been Take Two Movie Review. I'm Mike Friend. Catch up with us at Take2MovieReview.com and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Take2_Review.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
This is the Open Mic Show. I'm Tim Coco. This hour of the Open Mic Show is being brought to you by the Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council. Smart companies choose the Merrimack Valley. Okay, I worked in economic instead of economic. All right. You know, less than 25 minutes from now, we're giving away a birthday cake. Is your name in the hat? Your relatives, your friends, your neighbors, that person down the street you barely know but are hoping to be invited over for cake? Well, here's your chance. If you know of someone with a, including yourself, with a September birthday or wedding anniversary, call right now, 978-374-1900. It's real easy. Nothing could be easier. You simply pick up the phone, you dial that number, and you talk to me and you say, I want to wish Mary Ellen, Melinda, Martha, all the M's, whatever. And we'll put their name in the hat, or your name. Wish yourself a happy birthday. Don't worry. Pretend you're someone else and wish yourself a happy birthday. There aren't too many rules here. And the winner at 8:15 or so is going to receive a gift certificate for a 7-inch cake, chocolate or vanilla, from the famous Albie second-generation Italian bakery at 140 South Main Street on the Bradford side of the river. That may be the way we'd describe Bradford now. But this is like the most wonderful baking you have ever experienced. They're relatively new in Haverhill, so you haven't checked them out, or if you don't win, go over there, 140 South Main Street. I mean, there are breads, cakes, pizzas, cookies, mini pastries, certainly nothing finer. So look into that. But call right now, 978-374-1900. Do have quite a few entries, but you know the odds of winning are pretty much in your favor. This isn't like the lottery where it's 1,000,000 to 1. It's not 100,000 to 1. It's not 1,000 to 1. It's not 100 to 1. It's much less than that. So the odds are really in your favor. Now, other prizes. You know, summer is ending. You must go to the John Greenleaf Whittier Birthplace. 70 acres of land there. The corn is growing on the farm. What a great opportunity to visit a 17th century farmhouse that is still operational. go to the John Greenleaf Whittier Birthplace, and we'll help you do that. Be the first to call. We'll give you a free pass to this famous birthplace. 70 acres of land. There's also the Freeman Memorial Trail, so if you just want to do some hiking, this is an opportunity for you. Free pass to the John Greenleaf Whittier Birthplace. And, the big bonus in all of this is that you will be able to get a nice guided tour by curator Augustin Rouge. Now, maybe some of you are even familiar with Mr. Rouge's name because perhaps you had him as a teacher in either Haverhill public or parochial schools. He was at both. Maybe you have a memory. Well, he is working really hard to make the Whittier Birthplace a fun, enjoyable time for you. And we have a $10 gift certificate from our friends at Kimball Tavern Antiques. $10. Use it like cash. If it's a $10 item or less, it's yours. If it costs more, well, it's $10 off. All they ask you to do is name the oldest bowling league in Haverhill. Well, call your friends who are bowlers. Just get a bunch of names of bowling leagues and take your chances. Call. Find out if you have the correct answer. There's no shame in guessing. Name the oldest bowling league in Haverhill, and you could receive a $10 gift certificate to Kimball Tavern Antiques, corner of Salem and South Main Streets on the Bradford side of the river. Well, renew that call. If you know the one place in Haverhill, that at least that I'm aware of, the one place in Haverhill named in memory of former City Councilor Joseph J. Durso, take a guess. I am going to give the answer before the end of the show, and Nate is going to make a note to remind me because we don't need to keep that question out there longer. You might be surprised at what that location is and why it was named. So take a guess. There's all kinds of places in Haverhill. Take a guess, and you could win one of these Trivial Pursuit games, either War and Victory or Flicks. And even those games came from our friends at Kimball Tavern Antiques. As a matter of fact, there's a big box here of all kinds of prizes. So we want to get through these so that next week we can start fresh, the September prizes, with some other things. All right, David Goudswood challenges listeners. Rob Zombie, famous Haverhillite, was interviewed by Rolling Stone magazine and asked him what he did for fun growing up. He said Haverhill was a terrible, boring place. Sounds a little bit like the description by Andre Dubus in Townie. But then again, let's give him a break. Haverhill was in the midst of its urban renewal program, tearing down buildings. It wasn't a lot to do, so Rob Zombie played football with his friends in an unusual location. Take a guess at what that location is, and it still exists. And you can also choose one of these Trivial Pursuit games. Or have I done pretty well with the questions? I do think we have a contestant calling in now. Good opportunity to remind you about the new WHAV website. Not that new anymore, but getting better every day. Complete news coverage of Haverhill. News you most often will not find anywhere else. WHAV is a nonprofit corporation committed to bringing you the best news coverage and the information you need to make your democratic decisions, small d. Democracy is dependent on your being informed. How can you choose one candidate over another if you haven't heard about them? This is important. This is why we cannot allow the press release machines to dominate the news as they do in other media, because if press releases are usually by people who want you to know or think something about them, but what they don't send you is things they don't want you to know, and that's the most important news now, isn't it? So why don't you consider visiting WHAV.net, signing up for news headlines, and or just reading it each day. Membership is optional, but begins at $10 for students and senior citizens. You are on the Open Mic Show.
Good evening, Tim. I've been running in and out of the rooms listening to you because I'm cleaning. It's like spring cleaning for the fall.
Actually, it's funny. I've been doing spring cleaning too. Obviously, I'm behind. But when you have a dog, I find that spring cleaning is more complicated than one would expect. I had to remove wall-to-wall carpeting.
Oh, good.
But anyway, what is on your mind, Marcel?
Well, I called up for a birthday for Jeff.
Okay. Happy birthday, Jeff.
Right. This is the 3rd, actually, September 3rd.
September 3rd. See, I know you're a little black book. Now, that is the size of the largest encyclopedia out there, I'm sure.
Well, not quite, but anyway, and I've got someone to give the Whittier Birthplace
Okay.
to.
Who do you want to have the Whittier Birthplace gift certificate?
Her name is Kyla.
Really? Now, tell us your rationale. Kyla, you think should go there, or Kyla's...
I think she said she wanted to. She does genealogy also, and she likes history.
Oh, okay.
And she's not from Haverhill originally, so...
So this is a way of introducing. Now, that is a great idea, Marcel, and the rest of you listeners and viewers. If you know of someone who maybe is a recent, maybe new to your neighborhood, Welcome Wagon doesn't seem to be around anymore, you want to give them something, you can put their name in for a prize here at WHAV. And so Marcel is giving this relatively new Haverhill resident free admission to the John Greenleaf Whittier Birthplace. What better way to introduce someone to your city? Marcel, you were so thoughtful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I thought it was a good idea.
It's a great idea. Now, I don't know if you heard me mention your name earlier.
I did, but I was in and out, so I don't know what
that's
it was
okay.
about.
But I think you would agree that this was a good way to start on researching Joseph Durso, the 1940 U.S. Census.
Now, what's the question, though?
Well, just to give some background, we don't know a lot about Joseph Durso. We know he was an alderman in 1948, city councilor in 52. He ran apparently unsuccessfully for state rep in the mid-1950s, and there is a place in Haverhill named for him. And you know what? Since we're going to news, I'm going to reveal that now and take that prize off the table. Do you want to take a last guess, Marcel, at what is...
couldn't even begin to.
All right. The community room for the Washington Square Elderly Housing is named for Joseph Durso. The community...
In Phoenix Row?
No, across the street, 25 Washington Square. It's known as the Washington Block on the building. That is the building the Housing Authority gutted and rehabilitated in the early 1980s. And the community room is named for Joseph J. Durso. And why is that? Because Joseph Durso was a longtime member of the Haverhill Housing Authority Board of Directors. So there you have another little-known piece of Haverhill history. And what did Paul Harvey say? And now you know the rest of the story. But no, the census was helpful because we didn't know much else about him. And according to the 1940 federal census, he was 27 years old at that time. And he, we know that he passed away in February 1981, and that is about the time they were working on the Washington Block and how his name got added to that.
Using obituaries is one way to find out a lot about the whole family, the person.
Yeah, that's right. And because, some of us who are lazy, I like to look online. But, there are some newspapers who've gone back in their files and digitized them. But very difficult to get obits back before a certain date on the Internet, unless maybe you have some secret resources that Marcel has.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm very disappointed on, at least from 2000 up, you could get it online from the Gazette and the Tribune, but not anymore. Now you have to subscribe.
All right, yeah, those are now the so-called paywalls. Now, I thought to Al Brenner, former Haverhillite, but I think he's still a Haverhillite in his heart, wrote on Facebook that he would love to see all of the Haverhill Gazettes, and they are on file at the Haverhill Public Library. So he would like to find a group or a volunteer, and I think it's a great idea, who is willing to spend the time to digitize those files, scan them, and and then put them on the internet in a searchable form. So I bet if anyone steps up, the library would jump on that. But I'll help pave the way if I have any influence at all. But that would really help people like Marcel, who teaches a course at Northern Essex and finds she does all the work for a lot of the students. So that might help.
No, as I said, up until last week, I could get them, and now you can't. You have to pay. Yes, otherwise you'd have to use the microfilm upstairs.
All right. Now, they still have the binders, don't they, of the original newspapers? I have to say, I think those are easier to work with than microfilm.
I don't think they have them for all those papers.
Well, I know that when I worked at the Haverhill Gazette, half a lifetime ago, every year the newspaper would take all of the editions of the newspaper and send them out to be bound into books. One set that we would keep and one set that we gave to the library. So I wonder what happened to those.
I have to ask somebody. They're all new there. I don't know if they'll know.
But I have found them to be helpful nonetheless, and I was very happy with the way they've reorganized the photos on the third floor in special collections. But anyway, Marcel, thank you for your kindness and generosity to your fellow citizens. We've entered a name into the hat for the birthday contest, which we'll draw in about 10 minutes, and we are giving Kyla, a relatively new resident of Haverhill, a free pass to the John Greenleaf Whittier Birthplace. And thank you very much, Marcel.
Sounds good. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. Bye. Okay, we're going to news, and this is where Nate gets frustrated because I finally catch up on my timing, and then I get behind again. So we're going to go to news a little bit late, but you're going to hear the latest national news from FSN, the latest local news from WHAV's own news director, Dana Esmel. You're going to hear Nate Webster's NASCAR race recap, and you're going to hear local weather from the best meteorologists around. And all of that goes by in a flash. So stand by and come back to the open mic show where we'll draw very quickly the cake winner. See you on the other side.
Open mic!
Tim Coco and the open mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
It's 8:07.
WHAV Merrimack Valley. WHAV is a not-for-profit service of Public Media of New England, Incorporated. It's heard on 1640 AM, the web, at whav.net, and participating cable television stations.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Rebecca Foster. The funeral of 18-year-old Michael Brown, who was shot dead by a police officer earlier in August, has been taking place in the U.S. city of Ferguson, Missouri. His death sparked several days of violent clashes in the area last week, but thousands of mourners at Friendly Temple Missionary Baptist Church have remained peaceful. U.S. correspondent Lorna Shattuck reports.
Singing, dancing and clapping to gospel music, Michael Brown's funeral service began on an energetic note. Several family members shared their stories about the teenager with thousands of mourners who crammed into the church. Many of them had queued for 3 hours to be there. The teenager's father, Michael Brown Sr., said that his son had been a gentle soul, while cousin Eric Davis encouraged people to show any anger they felt at the ballot box, not with violence. Civil rights leaders Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton were among those in the congregation, along with 3 White House officials.
Ukraine's military has said it's fighting rebel armored vehicles that reportedly crossed into Ukrainian territory from Russia. This comes as Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko prepare for a series of meetings in Minsk to discuss the ongoing crisis in eastern Ukraine. Here's Jake Rashbass from Moscow.
Ukraine's military announced that it stopped the column near the town of Novoazovsk as it was heading towards Mariupol, a city in the southeast of the country. One military commander said that the column suggests that pro-Russian rebels may be seeking to open a new front in the south of the country against forces from Kiev. When asked at a press conference in Moscow, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that he had not heard anything about the column and expressed doubts at the reports, referring to what he called regular disinformation about alleged Russian incursions.
The French Prime Minister Manuel Valls has submitted the resignation of the government following a row over the country's economy. Talks over the weekend saw French President François Hollande severely criticized for his handling of the economy by many of his top ministers. A new government is expected to be formed by Tuesday. Our correspondent Ollie Barrett is in France. He says the country's lack of economic competitiveness in the Eurozone is to blame.
François Hollande was under pressure to deal with what had started to look like a rebellion against the government's economic policies, with two important ministers calling for a change in recent days. François Hollande has now called for a new cabinet to be formed consistent with the direction he has set for the country. François Hollande knew that la rentrée, the return of government, would be difficult given France's economic situation, but he would not have expected to be having to form a new government in his first full week back.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Here's what's happening in local news. A new statewide regulation which will ban disposing food waste and other commercial organics waste at landfills or incinerators beginning in October is getting the attention of some Merrimack Valley business leaders. A seminar held on a pre-registration basis is being sponsored by the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce on Thursday morning in the conference room of its offices on Essex Street in Lawrence. The free seminar will focus on the new Massachusetts regulation and options available to entities which dispose more than 2,000 pounds of food waste per week. Those impacted would include food industry suppliers, restaurants and function halls, schools, hospitals, and supermarkets. The seminar will feature speakers representing a food plant in Methuen, an operator of a food waste anaerobic digestion facility, and one from the Recycling Works in Massachusetts program. For registration or further information, contact the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce at 978-686-0900. A Haverhill man sought by police in connection with a stolen credit card investigation is taken into custody Sunday evening at GAR Park. Haverhill police report 36-year-old Charles Gallagher of Haverhill was arrested at 6 p.m. Sunday on a warrant charging him with larceny of a credit card fraud over $250, and larceny over $250. He was additionally charged with obstructing a police investigation. He is due to be arraigned in Haverhill District Court. Two Haverhill boys, ages 13 and 12, are accused of breaking into a Washington Street home on Sunday afternoon. Haverhill police report both juveniles were taken into custody at 2:15 p.m. Sunday at 472 Washington Street. Each is charged with felony breaking and entering in the daytime. Their identities are being withheld due to their age. In sports, WHAV's Nate Webster has this week's NASCAR race recap.
Team Penske sweeps the weekend at Bristol Motor Speedway, winning the nationwide Camping World Truck Series and Sprint Cup Series races. Joey Logano was your winner for Saturday night's Cup race. Keselowski tried a last lap pass, but didn't have the speed to take over the top spot.
Heck of a weekend for everyone at Team Penske. Joey and I both have 3 wins, and I think we're both legitimate threats to win a championship this year, and I'm proud of that. Last lap, I just dive bombed it in there on a prayer and kind of hoping it would stick or he would slip or something would happen for me. And whoever got out front and got the clean air first was going to win the race, and Joey was able to do that.
Competition caution at lap 60, and during green flag pit stops, both the 18 of Kyle Busch and the 48 of Jimmy Johnson got nabbed for too fast exiting pit road. A chain reaction crash in turn 3 in the back straightaway. Clint Boyer gets into Kyle Busch, and Brian Vickers cuts off Larson, who gets into the 43 of Eric Almirola, who gets the worst of the damage. Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick tangled later in the race when Harvick moved up on the track thinking he had room, misjudged it, and sent Hamlin behind the wall, not before Hamlin hurled his Hans safety device at the 4-car in disagreement. Nate Webster, WHAV Sports.
Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source, and it's always free. In the Edwin V. Johnson newsroom, this is Dana Esmel.
WAVE weather.
From WHAV meteorologist Rob St. Pierre with WAVE weather. We're looking at clear skies headed through the night with a low temperature around 60. Tuesday will feature lots of sunshine, maybe a little more humid, warming up to 85. It'll be clear Tuesday nights. There may be some fog after midnight, low 63, and then Wednesday, partly to mostly sunny, very warm and humid, highs in the upper 80s. There could be a late day shower or a thunderstorm, and then it's going to be cooler and less humid Thursday and Friday. We'll have sunshine both days, upper 70s on Thursday, mid 70s on Friday. I'm WHAV meteorologist Rob St. Pierre. Your next WAVE weather in 30 minutes.
Phil Christie here. Those Boston stations don't always understand weather in the Merrimack Valley. Stay informed with WAVE weather every 30 minutes, 24 hours a day on Soft Gold, WHAV.
Catch the wave, WHAV, Merrimack Valley. Open mic.
From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
Welcome back to the Open Mic Show, a 50-year staple of democracy in the Merrimack Valley. I'm Tim Coco. In Master Control is Nathan E. Webster III. And this hour of the Open Mic Show is being brought to you by the Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council. Smart companies choose the Merrimack Valley. And just another reminder, if you want in your email box the most comprehensive listing of events happening across the Merrimack Valley every month of the year, go to merrimackvalley.info, look at the newsletter, Merrimack Valley Happenings. There's a link right on the homepage at merrimackvalley.info. And you can also sign up to have that sent to your email box. So that is quite a bonus from the public servants at Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council. Okay, those of you watching on television, I have the hat in front of me. I know Nate has already scrambled some of these. I'm going to scramble again, and then I'm going to hold it above my head, and we're going to pick out. So the birthday contest for September is closed. We're going to pick a name out of the hat. And let's see. Is that one? Okay, that's one. Let's see who the winner is. Dina. Is this Mick? Mick and Dina. Anniversary on September 11th. So, happy anniversary, Mick and Dina. You'll be receiving a letter from WHAV. All you have to do is call Albie's Italian Bakery, second-generation Italian bakery at 140 South Main Street. You'll receive a letter. You don't have to write any of this down now. It'll be in your letter. You call them and you decide whether you're having chocolate or vanilla. They'll bake the cake fresh for you. You bring your letter when you go to pick it up at Albie's second-generation Italian Bakery, 140 South Main Street, Bradford side of the river. Congratulations again, Mick and Dina. All right, that closes birthdays and anniversaries for the month of September. David Gauswood correctly notes, he asked this question at the WHAV TV message board, are you on the air next week? Well, you know what? I knew summer was ending. I guess I was hoping it wasn't ending so soon, but next Monday is Labor Day. So the Open Mic Show will not be on the air next Monday. So the following Monday, 2 weeks from tonight, we'll begin accepting birthdays and anniversaries for the month of October. So go through your black books. This gives Marcel a little bit of time to go through that encyclopedia of names she has and pick out some birthdays and anniversaries for October, beginning in 2 weeks. All right, before we go on and talk about some more prizes that are still available here, we're going to take a brief break for Community Spotlight, and we'll be right back.
Open mic.
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
This is Phil Christie. Would you like to hear the WAV on your stereo, or even better, anywhere in your home? Check out the tips for better sound at www.whav.net.
Catch the wave.
Our system is in too many ways broken.
The way we see the world shapes the way that we treat it.
We had great potential to do a lot of great things.
On the next, Making Contact.
We've decided to protect children in homes, but we have decided not to protect children in rural communities.
Is your children's schoolyard routinely sprayed with pesticides? How safe your children are might depend on where you live.
The pesticide manufacturers, the registrants, have people here full-time whose job it is to go in and tell EPA what they think EPA should be doing.
Today, we hear about how and why one pesticide has been banned for household use, but still affects the health of farm workers and their children.
Making Contact is heard every Wednesday night at 6:30. Remember, only local radio can bring you such compelling features, but only WHAV does. Community Spotlight is brought to you by Haverhill Bank. Haverhill Bank is a generous supporter of the area's civic and cultural programs.
All it takes is just one bank. Haverhill Bank. Community Spotlight.
The League of Women Voters of Greater Haverhill is having a fundraiser aboard the Vote Boat, Captain's Lay III, from 5:30 to 8 p.m. on Saturday, September 13th, leaving from Newburyport Harbor. Embarkation begins at 4:45 p.m. from Newburyport Pier. There will be a cash bar with hors d'oeuvres provided by Wang's Table, music, a gift raffle, and a 50-50 raffle. Tickets are $40 per individual and $75 per couple. Proceeds provide student scholarships and civic education programs sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Greater Haverhill. For more information, contact Joel Gagnon at 978-374-1497. Remember, someone you know is on WHAV. To submit or read your own nonprofit announcements, click on the news page at whav.net or email news@whav.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson newsroom, this is Ben Hoyt.
Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
Welcome back to the Open Mic Show. Okay, we're giving away a number of prizes tonight. Kyla is going to be going to the John Greenleaf Whittier Birthplace. Mick and Dina are going to be celebrating their wedding anniversary on September 11th with a cake from Albie's second-generation Italian bakery. And now it's your turn. You have 8 minutes, probably less than that, 8 minutes to try your hand at some of these other trivia prizes. Okay, for a $10 gift certificate, same as cash, at Kimball Tavern Antiques, corner of Salem and South Main Streets, on the Bradford side of the river. Name the oldest bowling league in Haverhill. Take a guess. You must know someone who bowls. Take a guess. Name a bowling league. We'll see if they're the winner, and you'll receive a $10 gift certificate to Kimball Tavern Antiques. What could be easier to do that? All right. We did have someone take a stab at this other trivia question, sponsored by Open Mic Show historian David Goudswood. Rob Zombie was interviewed by Rolling Stone magazine. They asked him what he did growing up in Haverhill. He said there was nothing to do here, pointing to the urban demolition downtown. But he did find time to play football with his friends in a rather unusual location. Now, here's a hint, because an earlier caller mentioned the Dust Bowl downtown, which was a good guess, considering that everything was leveled between Main Street and Mill Street and between the river and Summer Street. Yes, all that was empty. And but no, we didn't play football there. Take a guess at an unusual location on either side of the river, and that may help you too. And you could win one of these Trivial Pursuit games, either War and Victory or Flicks. Give us a call, 978-374-1900. Okay, in the about 6 minutes we have left, let's just catch up on another news story that really hasn't gotten much attention. But you know, the Boston Globe was sued. The Boston Globe newspaper was sued by Stewart Healthcare. And you say, well, what does that have to do with the price of eggs? Well, what it has to do is that Stewart Healthcare System owns what was known as the Merrimack Valley Hospital in Haverhill, before that known as the Hale Hospital, and currently known as Holy Family Hospital at Merrimack Valley. Well, they tried to prevent the Boston Globe from running a story about a person who went through the mental health care system. And the Boston Globe was sued, and a Suffolk Superior Court Judge, Jeffrey Locke, denied Stewart access to the Boston Globe's notes on a story about this man. The Globe also said that Stewart Hospitals also unsuccessfully sought to release the man's private medical records to, quote, rebut the weekend's planned article. Maybe some of you saw that article. Now, what I thought was a great comment by Globe editor Brian McGrory, he says, what we object to is Stewart's thinly veiled intimidation tactic against a former patient. The fact that the company dispatched a constable at dusk to the house of a man with a history of mental illness is somewhere between appalling and unconscionable. If you're with Stewart Healthcare, we will give you equal time. Feel free to call during this program or the news department here, 978-374-1900. During this show, for the news department, 978-374-2111. Now, the state also is thinking of suing Stewart Healthcare for not releasing some of its financial information. Now, the other side of the story is Stewart says it runs many other businesses that are not regulated, and therefore it should not have to reveal those financial numbers. The rumor mill has it, and it is rumor. We don't, this is not a news program per se. It's an opinion program, but I still like to put the disclaimer out there. The rumor mill has it that Stewart is losing millions of dollars a year on the Haverhill Hospital. And when local leaders had the opportunity to object to Stewart changing the license for the Haverhill Hospital to be merged with Holy Family, nary a word was heard. I don't know. That worries me. Amesbury Hospital, as you may remember, when it merged with Anna Jakes, ceased to be a hospital altogether. It's an emergency center, and I'm sure there's some great services there. But nevertheless, Haverhill has lost too many institutions over the years. Bradford College comes to mind. Many of the civic organizations over the years that were located in downtown buildings that were taken for urban renewal. Just so many institutions have been lost. And I'm frankly appalled that no Haverhill leaders thought to speak up on the merger of Merrimack Valley Hospital and Holy Family into one license. So that makes it so much easier for them to close one without going through the review process. But we are nearing the end of time, but that's my rant. When we come back, I think we're going to be very close to elections. So I'm hoping that in 2 weeks you're already done all of your homework to decide who you're voting for state senator. Senator Kathleen O'Connor Ives. She is the incumbent. She won 2 years ago for the first time. She's a former Newburyport city councilor. On the Democratic side, she is being challenged by Jessica Finicaro of Methuen. Jessica seems to have picked up some pretty big support from people like former Senator Sharon Pollard, who actually had to change sides on that race. So it could be an exciting race, but alas, who has heard anything about it? Not much news coming out. I know that it's the dog days of summer, but really, in the old days, there would be, someone making an allegation and another candidate responding. A quiet race all in all. I wonder how that will play out. On the Republican side, I don't believe he's contested. Sean Toohey, Haverhill School Committee man, he's on the Republican side. So the final matchup in November will be between either Jessica Finicaro or Kathleen O'Connor Ives against Sean Toohey for state representative. So I expect that in 2 weeks you'll come back and tell me how you feel about that race. Before we're cut off from Haverhill Community Television, let's close up the program. I'm sure I speak for Nathan E. Webster III. We both wish you a great Labor Day weekend. We'll be back in 2 weeks.
Open mic!
Join Tim Coco live on the Open Mic again next Monday night at 6:30. The opinions expressed on the Open Mic show are not necessarily those of WHAV, its underwriters, or affiliated stations. The Open Mic show came to you from the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom.
It's 8:30.
This spot could have been yours. Support WHAV's local approach with your underwriting. Go to WHAV.net and click on Support to reach thousands of new customers.
Catch the wave!
This is Tom Hartman inviting you to tune in to the Tom